And so what I've done is I've created all of these shapes that mimic the facets of a crystal. I found it helpful to use one of these fun little things, but on this, like these smaller ones that I've done, I just used a pencil without a ruler and did the best I could. So you don't need any special tool, and I'm just mimicking the shape of crystal facets. So basically any angular shape that you can think of will work perfectly. And what I'm doing for this one is focusing in on one color per section. So for instance, over here, I am leading with this blue color and then adding other colors to it. When I get to this next section, I'm going to switch and maybe start with red or start with green, and lead with that color and then add other colors to it. And that's an interesting way to get yourself started, instead of having all of these colors and you're not really sure which way to go. Just pick one main color and start there. So for some of these, what I like to do is start with the actual color, the lead color, add the lead color to most of the shape, and then start adding other colors. So I can start to add some brown and see what happens when I add brown to this blue. I'm also trying to keep in mind the light and dark part of it too. So some of these I want to be more intense in color, and some I want to be very light toned. So I'm trying to keep that in mind too. It's actually a really good practice for me because, like I said before, I have a tendency to go really intense in color and not use enough water and vary my tones. So I've added blue, I've added brown. Now I can, I think actually I'm gonna go with a little purple on the top here, and maybe even bring that purple down into the brown, see what happens there. This is all about seeing what happens. It's also a fun way to practice your brushwork. So that's one way I like to do these. Now another way is to take the color and mix it, pre-mix it before I ever get onto my paper. So here I have this blue and the brown, which as you can see makes a beautiful tone of gray. This is more on the blue side. It's actually looking very indigo. So a really lovely shade of indigo. So once I have that color, I'm going to lay down a bit of that. Then I can see what happens if I tune it more to the brown tone. So I'm going to drag more of this into brown. Let's see what happens there. Or what happens if I tune it more blue. So adding a bit more blue into that indigo color, brightening it up and pulling it out of that muted shade into more of a bright, brilliant blue. And while everything is still wet, you can always continue to experiment. So what happens if I'm going to go super crazy and I'm going to add a bit of red? So we know from our little family here, anything on this side, this little neighborhood right here, we know they get along really well. So I'm grabbing that red And I'm going to add it into this blue mixture here. And what the hey, we'll even go down into the brown. Oh, I love it already. So as you can see, just explore with this, try new things, and bonus, when you get done, you will have a lovely, lovely abstract painting.